irony that many of the products which we use in our daily life, they are made by children who are trafficked and enslaved. Take the example of bindi. But do they know that what is behind this? Hundreds of thousands of children are making these bindis in slave-like conditions. It is unacceptable. Brothels and workshops and factories in many ways are the dark holes of slavery.
From the film Not My Life, a worldwide look at child trafficking, directed by acclaimed filmmaker Robert Bilheimer, well known for his documentary Cry for Reason, which won an Academy nomination. When Bilheimer came to India to shoot, his first was the offices of the Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Kailash Satyarthi and his team worked closely with Bilheimer's unit to highlight both child labour and child prostitution. The film was never released in India, screened just once on Doordarshan. Gautam Pandey worked on that film unit.
We basically collaborated on this project together, and we got in touch with Bachpan Bachao, we got in touch with Rest Foundation in Bombay, and we went down to shoot and basically crawl through this underbelly which exists. And it's been quite an experience. I mean, we all know human trafficking exists. To realize to what extent it exists and in the many forms that it exists is quite life-altering in many ways. Kailash ji is certainly on the forefront when it comes to battling human trafficking. He's at the front line, and even if you do human trafficking in India, his name will be in the first 2 hits for sure. I mean, when you do meet him, you'll see that he's certainly not sitting on a chair with wheels in front of a computer and just putting stuff on Facebook. He's on ground here, fighting the fight, and you get a sense of that he's out there still, just rescuing. Even if it's like one person out there, he's out there rescuing them.
Almost every journalist who's ever reported on child rights issue will vouch for this. We bring you from our archives just a glimpse of why Kailash Satyarthi was chosen for the Nobel Prize.
The 9-year-old Gajendra Sahai took sweets from a stranger outside his village home in Bihar's Saharsa district. Little did he know that it would lead him to 2 years of bonded labour in a carpet industry in UP. Although Gajendra has now been released, 7 crore children in India are forced to work.
We have laws against bonded labour and child labour, but there is no single example that these laws are implemented properly. There are provisions to send these culprits to jails, but in not single case anybody has been put behind the bars.
Police searching for weapons such as this rod used to beat up and silence more than 70 people forced to work as bonded labour in a brick kiln in Sambhal in Uttar Pradesh. Bachpan Bachao Andolan, an NGO, swung into action and launched a raid.
आ रहा था सब बच्चे लोग, फिर बोल रहे हैं सबको गोली पे मार देंगे, ऐसे बोल रहे थे सबको।
जहाँ कहीं भी खबर मिलती है हम लोगों को, हमारे आदमी हैं, हमारी शाखाएं हैं संगठन की, तो जहाँ कहीं भी खबर मिलता है हम कोशिश करते हैं कि उनको हम मुक्त कराएं, उनको घर वापस भेजें, उनका पुनर्वास कराएं।
The march against child trafficking would set off from Kolkata on February 25th, crossing over into Nepal at its border with North Bengal. On the other side, Nepali counterparts who have one slogan in common: end trafficking.
Trafficking has to be completely abolished. Trafficking has to be completely stopped between all these countries and in South Asia.
Young soldiers of the Bal Mitra Panchayat. The Bal Mitra Panchayat runs through the Bachpan Bachao Andolan, a movement run by the children themselves.
The elected village panchayat agreed to work with the children's panchayat. So it's a great recognition to the voices of children.
In this cram room in Delhi's Kamdanagar market, 7 children work more than 12 hours a day, making photo frames and glass artifacts.
सुबह 11 बजे काम शुरू करता हूँ।
रात को कब तक?
रात को 12 बजे तक।
कम से कम एक तो गिरफ्तार किया गया है, दूसरों में अभी बातचीत चल रही है और फिर देखते हैं।
In the last 1 year, 150 children have been rescued from such sweatshops in New Delhi.
Malnourished, overworked and paid barely a rupee an hour for working 15 to 16 hours, 7 days a week. Today, the police rescued 15 children working in dhabas, bakeries and embroidery workshops.
Delhi is the hub of trafficked children, bonded child laborers and child laborers. According to our estimates, at least 500,000 or 5 lakh children are the one who are trafficked from different parts.
उसने ये कहा था कि बच्चा चाहिए, मैंने कहा हाँ सर बच्चा चाहिए, तो कि 10 लाख रुपए का इंतजाम कर, और मेरा बच्चे का कोई पता नहीं है अभी तक.
Karl's 12-year-old son was kidnapped 2 years ago from outside his house in Jaitpur, a neighborhood on the Delhi-Faridabad border. NGOs say that areas like Jaitpur have a high migrant population of workers from other states, which makes it difficult to keep track of residents.
इनके पीछे एक साफ मकसद है कि उनको बाल व्यापार के लिए, बाल तस्करी के लिए, बंधुआ बनाने के लिए, भीख मंगवाने के लिए, वेश्यावृत्ति कराने के लिए, उनके शरीर के अंगों का व्यापार करने बच्चों को चुराया जा रहा है. क्योंकि ये गरीब के बच्चे हैं, इसलिए कोई ज्यादा सुनवाई नहीं होती, तो उनको आसानी से चुरा के बेच दिया जाता है.
Struggling to remember his parents' names, the 6-year-old has spent the last 3 months in a bangle making unit like this one. Every day he worked from 6 in the morning to 11 at night and slept where he worked. The only breaks allowed were during meals. There are lakhs like him around the country. Here in these units in Delhi's Jahangirpuri area alone, on Tuesday, 36 children were rescued and 4 employers arrested.
In Delhi, we estimate that at least 500,000 children or 5 lakh children are working in full-time jobs. So every 6th child in Delhi is out of school child and working somewhere.
Kailash Satyarthi, like many child rights activists, believe that poverty is an excuse for child labour. It's hard to argue against that. And yet the tougher reality in this country is that poverty not just drives children into labour, it keeps them there and makes them return to it. This is what we found just a few years ago when we accompanied 25 rescued children on their journey home. In dramatic raids carried out by the Mumbais, these children had been freed from zari units, leather factories, jewellery industries, all which were employing child labour illegally. After a few days in a government shelter, they were now on their way back to their villages in Bihar. Many of the children were apprehensive of their return, for good reason. They were returning to these villages and homes marked by poverty, fragmented land holdings, and employment, and families for whom any joy at reunion was replaced by a sense of despair and some tough questions.
मेरी हालात जिस ढंग में वो तो आप लोग के सामने ही है, तो हम इसको काम सीखने के लिए हमने भेजे थे. सर हम तो यही सोचे कुछ तो कर ले बाहर जा करके, यहाँ तो कोई सहायता होता ही नहीं है.
किसी के कोई पढ़े या नहीं पढ़े उससे कोई मतलब, तनख्वाह से मतलब है न. बच्चा लोग का बैठने का है न कोई जगह है. कौन आएगा ये धूप में मरने के लिए.
तो गरीब के बच्चे जो आज गए और सरकार जो छापामारी कर रहे हैं, कुछ तो इंजाम होना चाहिए कि छापामारी कर करके जेल में भेज दिए और फिर आप यहाँ को पहुँचा दिए मेरे हवाले, तो फिर उसका इंजाम.
Despite a government program designed to rehabilitate rescued children, the large majority of the children from child labour are back at work in the same conditions in less than a year. The reason then that Kailash Satyarthi says his dream remains unfulfilled. For those whose lives he's transformed though, for now, the Nobel Prize is a move in that direction.